All right, everyone, welcome back to JJD TV. We are back for a match preview of the upcoming game, a very anticipated match between Canada and the US. So we brought Filippo on the channel. I mean, we need to get his thoughts and opinions. He is the king of predictions. So, Filippo, how you doing, my man?
Doing good. I mean, I messed up one prediction, but most of them are pretty accurate.
Yeah,
for the most part.
We had some fun. But yeah, we're gonna get right into this. We did a match preview over on Filippo's channel as well. This one will be out first, so keep an eye on the community board. We'll let you know when it drops, and go check out the other half of our match preview. But we're gonna start this one off with simply just going over the last match. We played last night. Me and Filippo were up relatively early. I mean, decent sleep. And I just want to get a little thoughts because I obviously didn't watch the US match as I was getting prepared for their live stream and keeping an eye on Canada. So you told me before, you literally told me before, Josh, I do not want to see a 1-0 scrappy win. You saw a 1-0 win. I don't know if it was scrappy, but maybe if you can elaborate on me for a little bit, just to let me know.
It was, okay, just to say it was scrappy is not fair. Yes, we controlled possession. We definitely, clearly were the better team from a technical standpoint. But it just seems like the way El Salvador faced this game, playing very compact, not bunkering. They weren't it wasn't a low block, but they were very compact, narrowed down, made it very hard to penetrate through the middle. We had to do just the flanks, and we won the game playing Berhalter ball, right? That Gold Cup 1-0, get 1-0 and go through with it, and we'll take it. A couple issues we had throughout the game, right? Greg went to 4-3-3. As he always does. When he tries to shift it, it goes very bad every time. So 4-3-3. But he tried one thing different that he hasn't done in a while. He was teasing it for a while, but for the first time, he actually started with Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas, as a false nine. And in my opinion, from a goal-scoring standpoint, it never will go well, right? It's a team that whips in crosses. If you whip in a lot of crosses, you don't have a false nine. You have a poacher or a target man, someone in the box to be a target. Very often, Ferreira just wasn't there because you're coming in deep into the midfield. Plus, Ferreira did have two good opportunities. One was very good and he should have scored, but that's not his game, right? His game is not... He can score goals, obviously. He's not bad at it, but that's not like Pepe's job is to score goals. Even Zardes, for Christ's sakes, even though Zardes misses a lot, but that's not his goal. And coincidence or not, Ferreira did get the assist, right? That's his game, assisting others. And he almost assisted also Yunus Musa. The El Salvador goalkeeper made a brilliant save. So that was one of the issues. Also, Christian Pulisic was very poor yesterday in the game. He was coming in very deep and central, sometimes even looking like a central attacking midfielder, but very deep. And that's just not his game. He needs to be wide. And then what was happening was Ferreira was dropping, Pulisic was dropping. That was overcrowding the midfield with Weston. And then Yunus Musa would drop and it would look almost like a left back on the buildup. Tactically, the team was very messy in the game, while El Salvador was very compact and organized. And then there were bright spots as well, but I'm going to let you talk a little bit if you have any questions regarding the game. Then we got to go, just to add, we got to go with Anthony Robinson in the second half, early in the second half. It was a nice press and steal from Weah. He tried to finish one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He got blocked. The ball came to Ferreira. He heads it middle, and then Anthony Robinson just has a nice strike from close range, but still a nice strike. And we get that 1-0. And from there, not much happened in terms of goal-scoring chances for both sides. There was maybe one or two in the second half, but then it just became Berhalter ball.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to the match and looking at the starting 11, you would assume because playing as a false nine, where Ferreira would more than likely slot in, you would almost want your wingers to stay very wide and kind of be that focal point going forward, playing higher up the pitch. So very interesting. I would have just assumed a good way of screwing that system up if you're going to play the false nine is to have Pulisic. And I know it because Davies sometimes does the same thing. They're the stars of the team. They want the ball. They want to create. And when Davies struggled a lot in that Mexico match is when he drifted in and he tried to take the ball and kind of do it a lot on his own. Was that a little bit what Pulisic was trying to do? Just having the weight of the US on his shoulders, wanted to come in and create it all by himself?
A little bit. I don't know if it was Greg's. I don't think Greg instructed Pulisic to do that. I think what Greg was trying to do, and look at me giving credit to Greg, he was just trying to give his best player freedom. He was kind of like, Pulisic, be yourself, do your thing. And I think Pulisic chose to do that. And he doesn't have to, right? Because the US's midfield is, at least with Tyler Adams, Yunus Musa, and Weston, is more than capable of getting that ball up to the wingers and the forwards. So I didn't see that. I could understand if we were playing like Leggett and Acosta's duet to roll on, Pulisic just out of desperation coming back to get the ball because it's just not arriving. But if Pulisic just stayed high up on the field, I'm pretty sure Yunus Musa and Weston would have found a way to get the ball to him and Timothy Weah, as they did get it to Weah, right? Weah wasn't dropping and the ball was arriving. And in the first half, our most dangerous attacks came out of the right flank with Weah, sometimes with Dest too. Dest just has to do a better job on the crossing. But that's where the danger was. While Pulisic's side, the left side in the first half was kind of dead. We had Robinson a few times with the support, but the dangerous plays came all out of the right flank with Weah and Dest as well.
That's interesting. I mean, that's be a good strategy to try to keep the ball on the side that Pulisic's not on if you're the opposition team. So that's an interesting one there. And then obviously just looking back at Canada's match, I mean, frustrating, dirty, a little affair. In my opinion, it was kind of like that next hurdle. We have to go to a Central America tack. I'm not sure if you know this. We got to go. I mean, for the next 2 winners, we had to go 4 times. We're going to Honduras, which we just did. Then we're going to El Salvador, then Costa Rica, and then Panama. So that was naturally the next test to see what this Canada side can do. And they found a way. They found a way to battle adversity, to go in that type of atmosphere and pick up not a comfortable, because it was everything. Nothing's comfortable in Central America, but they got a way to get the job done, similar to the way you guys did in Honduras. I mean, it was scrappy for a while. Then you guys just came with a blistering second half. But this puts us in a very comfortable position looking at the table. And I don't know if you and I want to just kind of analyze it just a little bit to see, and maybe even put a point prediction of when you think Canada or US could nail it down a top 3 spot.
I want to do that once you put the table. I just want to say one thing to the Canadians, and it's not to downplay the win against Honduras, because every game in Central America, the environment just makes it very scrappy and annoying even to play very often. And I'm sure it was with Canada yesterday. But the one thing I wanted to say to all the Canadian fans watching it is these 4 games in Central America will be tough. And this was the easiest one, right? Honduras has been underperforming every single World Cup qualifying. Remember, the U.S. went there, and even though we had one of the worst first half we've had all year, we still managed to win 4-1 in the second half with even Sebastian Leggett scoring. So don't think because you were able to get a 2-0 win against Honduras that the other games are going to be easy. Don't be surprised if you go down to Central America and the game ends 1-1 and you're like, what the heck just happened with El Salvador? Or 0-0. It'll be worse, right? That's just a heads up to I expected Honduras to bounce back this window and do a little bit better. But from what you're saying, they're still just trying to kick the opponent out of the field, literally, right? Not playing soccer, just kick them out of the field.
Honestly, there were the ref. It almost felt for a second the ref would have lost a little bit of control, because the tackles were coming in were simply slew foots. It was taking both legs out to the ground. They were running people over. It was a very chippy affair.
Sounds like CONCACAF.
It felt like CONCACAF. It really did. The only other match I really seen that I can relate this to was the Haiti match. The Haiti match was very, very rough as well. They were gunning down Alphonso Davies. But like you said, I mean, we still have to go to Central America 3 other times, and that's where these windows get very, very tricky to see if Canada can hold on to that top spot. But at current date, they are at top spot right now, Tack. We're sitting with 19. You guys are right behind us with 18. Then we have Mexico 17, Panama 14, Costa Rica on 12 with a big win. Do you think now with Jamaica on 7, El Salvador 6, and Honduras is on 3, do you think that Jamaica, El Salvador, and Honduras are out of the fight, or do you think that there's still a last little bit of
they're done. I think they're done. The gap is too big right now for them to recover, and there's only 5 games left, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, there's 2 this window and 3 on the next one, so it's 15 points to be fought out. Jamaica, you said, has 7, right? So Jamaica, to have a slight chance of getting a 4th seed, they would need to win every single game to have a slight chance of getting the 4th seed. Because if you look at the table, the US, Canada, and Mexico, they will surpass 22 points. I think there's no doubt about that. They'll surpass. It would have to be a disaster if they don't get 22 points with 15 to be played still. So Jamaica winning every single game, they can get to 22. They're not going to get those top 3. Their hope is if they win every game, they could possibly challenge Panama and Costa Rica. But from what we've seen with Jamaica, I'm sorry, they're not going to win all 5 games. So just be realistic. The battles between Costa Rica, Panama, and the top 3 right there for those 4 spots, the 3 spots in the Interconfederate. But it's looking more and more likely that Mexico, United States, and Canada will lock in those top 3. It looks very likely, and Costa Rica and Panama will battle out that fourth seed. And congratulations to Costa Rica for the win yesterday and kept themselves alive. If they had lost, it would have been over.
Yeah, I agree. And it was funny. I was talking about it on the live stream. Just noticed it. It was literally 1v8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. It's almost like a playoff game. So if all the top four teams would have won, I think it would have put that distance between the bottom four pretty much gone. But the 4v5 made it a little bit interesting there. Are you worried at all that Mexico, Canada, or the US could slip into that fourth spot, or do you think that it's a lot of disaster would have to happen for one of them to drop into that fourth seed?
I wouldn't bet money on it, but if I had to bet money on something right now, I don't know the order, right? It can change. Canada, US, Mexico, the top three, whatever order it is. But I don't see them missing out on that, right? Also, remember, the US will play, the last game is against Costa Rica away, so that will be a tough one. But by then, it'll probably be resolved. The US plays the Panama at home, which playing Panama at home with our best players, it should be a win as well. And that will probably mess with Panama. Also, Panama has a game against Mexico this window that can widen that gap. So
Yep.
I personally think that those three will hold the top three. I just don't know the order. I think, for all I know, even Mexico can top this ocho that's left, right? That's what I think. And then even Panama and Costa Rica, I don't know. I think based on the table and the matchups, I think Costa Rica is more likely to get that fourth seed, believe it or not.
I said that a couple times. I said, be careful with this particular match between Panama and Costa Rica, because Panama's got a tricky window, and if they don't get that win against Costa Rica, it opens the floodgates. But looking on now onto form before we move on to the starting 11s, Canada's won 4 in a row now. We were 1-4. Things were looking a little bleak. We had 1 win, 4 draws to start it off, and then we've been on a really good streak right now, winning 4 straight. You guys have won 4. No, you guys have won. You won 2 in a row, and you've won 3 of your last 4. So you guys are in pretty good form as well. Is the form, just coming from the U.S. perspective, is the form of Canada nerve-wracking to you guys at all, especially the going to Hamilton, or do you think that the forms kind of even each other out a little bit?
I'm not worried about Canada's form or the US's form in this sense, because what I've noticed with the United States, at least under Greg Berhalter, right? You just never know. One thing's for sure. It seems like Greg, even if a team is more well coached or even better, it's unpredictable. He finds a way to sometimes overachieve, not overachieve. I think the United States winning against any opponent in CONCACAF, it's not overachieving. But you can get the United States that you got against Mexico, that we controlled the game against Mexico. Unlike Canada, Canada didn't control that game against Mexico, right? It was a game that was kind of like even in the first half. And then Ochoa made that mistake and Canada got the lead, then Kyle Larin. But then Mexico did really press Canada at one point. It even looked like they were going to draw the game. Now, the United States against Mexico, for example, we had a good amount of control in that match, and it could have even been 3-0 at the end, right? It was the other way around. We never let Mexico get back in that game. But then you get the United States having performances like the Jamaica one, having performances like the Panama one. We haven't really seen that from Canada, right? It seems like Canada is much more capable of keeping consistent performances, while the United States becomes more of a wild card, being a team that can completely go to Canada and beat Canada 2-0 and outplay Canada, or can very well get completely outplayed, like we saw in Nashville too, right? Nashville, Canada was the best team that game. Canada, if soccer was a sport that was based on who performs better wins, Canada would have won that game. But it's based on who scores, and each team scored a goal. So it's very tough to say. I'm not worried about the form, because with the United States, you can't predict. You don't know what you're going to get from Greg Berhalter.
That's fair. And honestly, these are the 2 hottest teams looking at the last 5 matches. Mexico obviously had that blimp, and because of it, they're a few points behind us. But this is something you were hesitant to do, so now it's time to do it. Let's see you put your big brain on and try to give me a starting 11. Now, I feel like I could even say the formation, the 4-3-3, but I'm curious to see what kind of starting 11 you think you're going to go with. We're going to compare it quickly to mine, and then after you and I are going to go over just a couple key matchups that we noticed from our predicted starting 11.
I'll tell you one thing. If it's not a 4-3-3, I'm worried, because every time Greg tries to change the lineup and do something fancy, it comes back to bite us. So I'd rather him just go with his 4-3-3, which we know has worked or not worked, so just keep it that way. So I think Matt Turner is going to go on goal because I don't think Stefan has even arrived yet. He's still in England because of a back injury, so he might not even play this camp. So it's going to be Matt Turner on goal, which means well, even though Stefan has also not been great in distribution, so I don't think that'll matter. And we know Matt Turner in terms of shot stopping. Good luck, Canada. Not easy to score. You guys saw that in Gold Cup, right? I think the right back, he's going to go Yedlin, not Dest for this one. So Dest, I don't know if he's injured or he cramped up at the end of the game. There's no reports out, but he was feeling something. And for some weird reason, Greg Berhalter brought 4 right backs and 1 left back to this camp, which means he's probably going to rotate the right backs. And I think he's going to go with DeAndre Yedlin. If it's not Yedlin, it could be Reggie Cannon. But I just think he's going to go with Yedlin based on previous camps. Okay. The left back, considering, like I just said, Dest is technically the backup of the left back, and I'm saying he's going to be rested. By that logic, I think Robinson will start this game again after a strong performance and scoring the game-winning goal. If Robinson is going to be rested and Dest is not available, he's going to have to play like Acosta there or something like that, which is even crazy to think. I don't know why Greg didn't bring a backup left back there. So I think it's going to be Yedlin on the right, Anthony Robinson on the left. The 2 center backs, I think he's going to go with Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman. I think those will be the 2 center backs. He started Chris Richards. Richards was fine. Zimmerman was fine. I thought Zimmerman was a little bit better than Chris Richards against El Salvador. And Zimmerman's just a guy he trusts. And I think he's going to bring back Miles back because Miles was our best center back last year. The midfield, I think we're going to go with Tyler Adams at the 6. He didn't get the yellow card, so he's not suspended. Kelna Costa at the 8 with Weston McKennie. I think he's going to go with Weston McKennie there still. Yunus Musa has gassed out in previous camps when he plays too many games. We saw that against Jamaica too. So I think Yunus Musa will be off the bench on this one. And Greg loves Acosta. And he played Acosta against El Salvador. He put Acosta at the last minutes, 2-3 minutes or 5 or something like that. And Acosta plays an 8. So I think Acosta will be a dual 8 with Weston. Not a fan favorite right there. Might not be the best. It probably would have been better to throw someone like De La Torre that can progress the ball a little bit better. Acosta's more that scrappy player. But yeah, I think that's where he's going to go. Left wing, probably Christian Pulisic. Was subbed off early at the 60-something-th minute. So there's no reason not to start Pulisic. Give him a chance again. Hopefully he performs. Center forward, I think it's going to be Ricardo Pepi. The Jesus experiment at the false 9 didn't really work in terms of being clinical and scoring. So I don't think Greg will do that again against Canada. I also don't see him starting Zardes for this one. Zardes got a couple minutes, looked like Zardes, clumsy, the same as always. I think Pepi might actually play this one, maybe even the full 90. Even Pepi's not in good form currently, so that's something that we'll see how it's going to turn out. The right wing. So Weah went the full 90. I think he's going to rotate Weah out because of the Honduras game, put Weah to help win that game. So we're probably going to see on the right wing 2 options. I don't know who he's going to go with. Brendan Aronson or Paul Riola. Paul Riola didn't play against El Salvador, but I don't think he's done. He played Jordan Morris a little bit. Jordan Morris didn't look very good. Still returning right from that ACL injury. So the right wing, probably Aronson or Riola. And it's a 50-50 between those 2. I think Weah will come off the bench, but do expect Weah to come in throughout the match and probably will terrorize the defense once he's in.
And that's a very realistic one. Something of kind of what I was thinking. And I'm going to go over mine just very quickly, and then Tack, you're going to pick a key matchup. I'm going to pick a key matchup. Mine's very interesting because we don't know the situation quite yet with Steph or Mark-Anthony Kaye at time of recording. I think Mark-Anthony Kaye is going to be okay. So, I mean, I'll just give you a couple of other examples. But I think we're going to line up in the 3-5-2. We're going to have Borjan in net. Richie Laryea, who was rested, is going to play right wing back. I'm going to say same back 3. I think it's going to be Alistair Johnson, I think Victoria, and then it could be maybe Miller or Cornelius who could sneak in there, but I think they're going to go with Scott Kennedy. Left wing back will be Adekubi. The 3-man midfield, this is where it gets a little tricky, but I'm assuming Mark-Anthony Kaye is all right to play, and then Hutch, and then with him as well would be Azorio because he looked pretty good when he came on. Now, if Eusakio is good to fit, take off one of Kaye or Hutch, depending on who's fitter. We're going to have to wait and see. If all of them are unfit, then maybe one of those got to be Liam Miller. But the point is, I do think it's going to be a 3-man midfield. And then the 2 strikers up front, I think Laren's going to get rested because he didn't have the best performance, and I think it's going to go Jonathan David along Tajon Buchanan, moving him up. So a bit of a bold call for me. So Tack, immediately, what's a matchup right there that has you excited or worried?
Well, so if Tajon's going to play up top, and you talked to me at the preview we did at our channel that he probably will drift wide, be like a shadow striker. It's always a matchup I don't want to see is Tajon Buchanan in isolation with any of our center backs, right? Miles is pretty good at recoveries, and so is Zimmerman. But when Buchanan gets that 2 steps ahead of you, it's kind of hard to catch up, right? Regardless of who you are at that point. And he gets that little quick steps, he's gone. And that's something that would worry me. And the reason that would worry me is because that would lead to a matchup of Jonathan David on just Jonathan David and the goalkeeper, right? Across, and that's where David thrives. That's probably the main matchup that I would be worried about because you guys don't have Davies, right? Davies would be something else. Now, in terms of that, if Eustáquio plays, it's about how our midfield doesn't let him control the tempo of the Canadian midfield because he is that maestro in that midfield essentially, right? He's the one that controls the midfield for Canada when he plays. So it's about how you match up maybe Acosta, right? Because Acosta is not really the guy that I care about him on the ball. So if he's tired from playing defense, who cares? You don't need him to be good on the ball because he probably won't be good on the ball. So maybe Acosta can be that guy to just bother the heck out of someone like Eustáquio. Besides that, the thing with Canada, it's not about individual performances, right? It's more about how Canada plays as a team. That's more of what I'll be worried about. So the matchup I'm the most worried about out of all of them is not in the field. It's out of the field. It's Berhalter and Herdman. That's the one I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's the answer I should have expected for Tack. And for me, I'll make it just kind of simple. I think it's going to be a midfield battle will be a very interesting one, depending on who you guys start. I watched a lot of Weston this year. He's really impressed me. I think Weston McKennie is probably your guys' best player at current time. And I think looking at our midfield, just highlighting a player, I'm going to highlight Jonathan Osorio a little bit just because I thought when he came out the pitch, I wasn't expecting him to start. There's a few players you wouldn't expect to start in that type of atmosphere in Honduras. And Osorio for me was one of them just because of the grit. It's why Samuel Piet got to start in there. But when Osorio did come on, he looked really good on the ball. And he's obviously on off season right now. He's going to slowly start to get back into it. So I think bringing him on could be a bit of a creative outlet. He's been so important for Canada. So if there's going to be some chances coming, maybe it's freeing up some space and trying to put in Tajon or put in Jonathan David, I think a lot of it's going to come from Jonathan Osorio if he starts. So that's the little midfield matchup I think I'm very curious in and also on top of that, we don't know what our midfield is going to look like with all the potential situations going on with Kay, Piet, who picked up a knock, and Eustáquio. So it could be a big battle there. But Tact, to wrap this thing up before we get going here, I put my prediction. I said it many times, but I'm not going to say it again. It's over on Tac's channel if you want to hear it. But you didn't give yours. So king of predictions, Canada getting only 2 points from this window. What do you think this scoreline is going to be?
So I might say it at the end of my video or not. I'll think about it, but I'll just say it here first. People are going to hear it here first. For starters, it's going to be a low-scoring game. That's what I think it's going to be. The United States is very solid on defense, and Canada is somewhat like the first game, right? 1-1 is a low-scoring game, and it could have even been 1-0. I think the game's going to be 1-0 for the United States. I don't think the United States is going to outplay Canada. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a 1-0, very scrappy game, despite not being CONCACAF-like, but kind of like battled it out. Well played because the teams do have technical players, but I think it's going to be 1-0 for the United States. Again, there's absolutely no way that I would say Canada's going to win this. There's obviously a bias in my pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does end 0-0. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and it's going to depend. Obviously, a lot of situations going on with the Canada camp as well. Hopefully, Eustáquio is back. But, I mean, again, he's coming back from COVID. We don't even know what kind of Eustáquio we're going to get, how many minutes. So there's a lot on the line. It's going to be a fun one, guys. But we appreciate Tac giving up some time to come on for the preview today. If you guys would be so kind, please be sure to drop a like on today's video. It was a fun one. Be sure to drop a sub as well if you guys are new to the channel. And we'll see you guys soon. Cheers, friends.